In this video, we're going to cover ocular lens adjustment, zeroing the scope, the illuminated reticle, and scope care. Please read and understand the entire content and warnings in the instruction manual before attempting to adjust the scope. Your Lancehead crossbow should come with the scope mounted and bore sighted. However, you should adjust your scope to fit your comfort needs in shooting. And you should also match the finished weight and configuration of the crossbow arrows you are using. Always keep your crossbow pointed in a safe direction. Make sure to select a proper target and arrange it with a safe backstop, knowing what is in front and what is beyond your target. Never look at the sun or any reflective glare through your scope, as it can cause permanent damage to your eyes and vision. Now we're going to cover ocular adjustment. To adjust the ocular lens to suit your vision requirements, first remove the flip-up lens cover on the eyepiece at the rear of the scope. Next, shoulder your crossbow in a comfortable shooting position with the ocular lens about 2 to 3 inches from your eye. Look through the eyepiece at an object about 20 yards away. If the object and the marks on the reticle are not both in sharp focus, adjust the eyepiece adjustment ring at the end of the scope by turning it in one direction. Then, look through the scope to see if the definition of the object and the reticle marks have become more sharply defined. If they have not, turn the adjustment ring in the opposite direction until both the object and the reticle are well defined. Next, we're going to cover the illuminated reticle. The illuminated reticle rheostat adjustment dial is located on the side of the scope tube. The color of the illuminated reticle can be set to green or red, and the brightness of the reticle can be adjusted in several increments. High brightness settings are recommended for daytime use when ambient light is bright. This will allow the reticle to be visible against dark backgrounds. At times of low light, such as dawn or dusk, a lower brightness setting is recommended. The lower settings may not be visible during bright daylight. Reticles are black in the R or G position, or if the battery is defective. It is recommended to turn off illumination when you are finished shooting or hunting to preserve battery life. All Hawk illuminated scope models use a CR2032 coin-style lithium battery. To insert a battery, unscrew the battery compartment cap on top of the rheostat adjustment turret and insert a new battery with the positive side up. Warning, always hold on to the lower half of the rheostat when loosening or tightening the battery compartment cap to ensure that no damage is done. Next, we're going to cover scope care. Keep the protective lens covers in place when the scope is not in use. The external lens coatings should occasionally be wiped clean with the lens cloths provided, or an optical quality lens paper. Remove any external dirt with a soft brush to avoid scratching the lens. Note, unnecessary rubbing or use of a coarse cloth may cause permanent damage to lens coatings. To clean the external surface of the scope, it is recommended that a silicone impregnated cleaning cloth is used to protect the scope against corrosion. Always store in a moisture-free environment. Never store the scope in places such as the passenger compartments of vehicles on hot days. The high temperatures could adversely affect the lubricants and sealants. Avoid direct sunlight that can enter the ocular lens. Damage may result from the concentration of the sun's rays passing through the scope. Never attempt to disassemble or clean the inside of the scope, as it is filled with nitrogen that will escape and could damage the performance of your scope. We're now at the range to zero in the scope. We'll shoot at 3 distances, 10, 20, and then 30 yards. 10 yards to ensure the aiming point can land a bolt on the target. 20 yards to refine our aiming point to a 0, and then back to 30 yards to ensure the scope is calibrated for the speed of the bolt and it compensates for the appropriate drop of the bolt at the distances indicated on the reticle. We're going to start 10 yards away from the target. And here, make sure you know what is directly in front of and beyond the intended target. Our goal at 10 yards is to make sure the aiming point in the scope can get our bolt safely on the intended target. The aiming point needs to be adjusted. Dust covers on the windage and elevation turrets are removed and adjustments are made to bring the point of aim to the point of impact. Having made the adjustments, move back to 20 yards to a bench rest to ensure a steady and repeatable aiming point. Place the point of aim using the top crosshair mark in your reticle. It is indicated by the 20 labeled to the right. Make necessary adjustments to windage and elevation turrets on your scope until your point of aim matches your point of impact at 20 yards. Next, move your target back to 30 yards from the bench rest. The goal here is to calibrate the elevation marks in the reticle with the speed of the bolt to compensate for the approximate bolt drop at 30 yards. When done successfully, the remaining elevation marks on the reticle should be calibrated for greater distances in increments of 10 yards. Start by adjusting the speed selector ring located around the rear of the scope tube. Do so by turning the ring to the speed that matches the advertised speed of your Lancehead crossbow. The shot hit our point of aim, confirming our speed selector ring is in the correct position.